We are here to help you understand our president and how he thinks, because really, and I really want to make this clear, this isn't about us being nasty about the president or saying he has a mental illness. That's not what we're saying. People's brains are wired differently.
In many ways, Donald Trump is sort of that clean clinical specimen of narcissism and privilege. And I think for me, as somebody who's sort of watching this with kind of the scientific precision of a psychologist who studies this disorder, he's just such a good example of it. And as a result, we can really predict what his next move is going to be. And so what feels now like a random chess game is literally like playing chess with a computer you already programmed. So you can predict it. Here's what's going to be frustrating for the American people at times is that you can predict it, but that doesn't always mean you feel like you can change it. He's still going to do these things. And so whether it's something silly like these, wiretapping allegations or just acting defensively even to the most vulnerable people who are complaining about his behavior, all of those things make sense. They're exactly what we'd expect. And just like if you were in a relationship with a hypersensitive narcissist and you figured out, wow, even when I comment on his tie, he gets really mad at me, you know what you'd end up doing? You'd stop commenting on his tie. And so it also addresses how Americans engage in discourse, because they just may feel more and more helpless. And when people turn helpless, not very good things happen. So that's one thing I hope to do, is maybe figure out ways we can tell folks to access a governmental system that, the last time I checked, much as it feels different, it still does operate on checks and balances. And our representatives still answer to us. And so it is to empower people to actually get back out there and be active. Listen, in the last LA election, only 11% voted. That was a few weeks ago. We're still a very disengaged country. This is a chance for people to be reminded exactly at the time you feel helpless, maybe this is the time to get engaged. With numbers, you may be able to move mountains.
It's a country run by major, essentially by the corporate sector, which has overwhelming influence on the government. And what you describe is quite correct. It's kind of symbolized by the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, who made $13 billion in a single day. They're just running wild, using the Trump and the administration, or using the cover of the pandemic to increase their dedication to enriching the very rich and the corporate sector, who are, of course, eating it up. They love it. I mentioned military industry. That's another example of it. Sure, that's you might regard it as a last-ditch effort to try to impose the maximal rule of extreme wealth and corporate power, running parallel to the Mitch McConnell, Trump campaign.
The devil is a liar. Be careful with Donald Trump. Be careful with Donald Trump. I don't tell anyone how they should vote. Dr. Ramani is a PhD in psychology. She, as a psychologist, sees clear narcissistic tendencies in President Trump when he was president. Noam Chomsky, Professor Chomsky, is one of the most known libertarian socialists in the world. He protested already in the 30s against Franco's fascist state. He was 10 years old. Now Chomsky is an elderly man in his 90s, and he's warning for fascism under Trump. All of these professors and PhDs with a lot of experience warn you of Trump. Now let me tell you something. The working class in America, the Rust Belt, votes for Trump. They feel that he is for the working blue-collar American. Trump did $1.9 trillion tax cuts for the rich. Now, how on earth can normal American workers vote for someone who gives you an identity, gives you what you want to hear, populist opinions, is charming, narcissistic, but in reality, the American people never check the policy. He actually lowers taxes for the rich. So he gives you something, but the real policy he pushed is something completely different. So Trump is not truthful because you think you are getting a savior, but in reality you're getting a corporate man. Now Trump pretends to be for the normal people. Guys, Trump is a billionaire. He's a businessman. Trump is a billionaire businessman himself. He claims to be against the deep state. Trump is a billionaire. He's a part of the globalist capitalist elite, if you want to. And his friends are getting tax cuts. And you think you are getting a guy who is for the people. Trump is dangerous. And he can never lose. Anytime he loses, he points to a conspiracy theory. I don't like deep state globalist either. But Trump... How can I believe that Trump is against the deep state? That's something he says so that you will elect him, but in reality he gives tax cuts to the rich. My only advice is be careful with Trump and check the policy. Check the policy. Whatever candidate you vote for, look at the policy they actually want to push. Do they want to give Medicare to the people? Do they want to give Social Security? Or do they want to give tax cuts? Check the policy. The devil is a liar. Remember that. Hopefully this was interesting. Leave comments below.